Thank you very much, the Honorable Otiko Afisa-Jaba, Minister for Gender, Children, and Social Protection. That was a very straight to the point, concise statement.
Madam, please, I saw this chart on the board that they are pasted outside, and I see that handy measures for the GSFP. That chart, and I saw some ladders and everything arranging over there. Please, can you explain how it is? Because I can't get it in here. If you can explain it better for me. Thank you very much.
Cameron Dodu, columnist, Daily Guide. Madam, I see that you've covered a lot of areas in the social life of Ghana. But one area that I have noticed, which may not have come to your notice, is the inability of many people gainfully employed in the markets, in homes, who cannot make use of mobile phones in this age when mobile phones have made life so easy for everybody. If you could expand your adult education programs through the Social Welfare Department so that they could use national servicemen, for instance, so that they could teach ladies, especially those working in homes as home help and others, to use phones to receive money and so on more easily than depending on family members and so on. I think you might be helping a lot of people that are overlooked. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for this work that you are doing, especially for our vulnerables. My question also is pertaining to the Kaya youth. Looking at what you are putting in place and the effort, I know that with God you can succeed, but I want you to elaborate more on it, on how you can drastically put that measures in place. Thank you very much.
My name is Bernice. I write for the Chronicle newspaper. When the minister was speaking, she made mention of those begging on the streets, how the ministry is going to help them. A little research we did some time ago, we also find out that some of these people are not even Ghanaians. They migrate to their country just to beg, to make an end. And when they get the money, they return back to their countries. So I want to find out, how are you going to streamline this program to ensure that Ghanaians indeed benefit and not foreigners who think this is just a means of making revenue? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Rashid Obodai Provenza. I report for Rainbow Radio. One of the major key highlights of the president's campaign in 2016 is to provide a free card for the aged to have access to some public places and free transportation. If you can give us the state of that promise. Thank you very much.
My name is Lerato Charlotte Litsoso. I'm from GH1 TV. And I commend our minister for making it very apparent that she is for women empowerment. Thank you for that. And the very same subject of women empowerment, there are two key issues that you've also mentioned in your address statement today, which I also want to pose a question on. One of them is the affirmative action bill. I know that before it had lapsed its time, to be passed. What are we now doing at the moment to make sure that its time will not lapse this time around? Because that's one very key element when it comes to economic empowerment. And secondly, what are we doing in terms of the maternity leave? That it has been proposed that there should be an extension from 3 months to 6 months, and also a proposal that we also issue paternity leave, because a lot of working women are not breastfeeding as a result. So we need more clear and adequate answers as to how we're going to tackle these issues. Thank you.
From the school feeding, in terms of the handy measures, there are tools that we introduce to the caterers to help them to measure the portions of the food. You can't just pour rice into a basin for 200 children. You might be cooking too much or too little, and we have to also look at the issues of nutrition, and that's for every child a certain amount of carbohydrates, fats and protein, as well as minerals must be part of the feeding process. So we do have a nutritionist, and we have various specialists who have come up with these handy measures. Sometimes they use the size of a piece of wood that has been shaped for maybe the portion for a slice of yam or for plantain. And then we have ladles and other instruments to measure the beans or the whatever it is that you're cooking. So that's what handy measures are. They are just tools for measuring the food to be able to have proper portioning for the children. In terms of the people and the fact that they need to use the new technology of phones. Every woman in Ghana, indeed every girl that we have found out, has either 1 or 2 phones. Ghana is one of the places where mobile phones, in every village that you go to, people have phones. So it is important that we utilize the phones for economic empowerment. And we are going to do that with the Ministry of Communication. We are going to also work with Girls Connect to begin not only with the area of phones, but also in ICT to teach simple coding, and the Ministry of Communication has already started that. We, in the area of the Operation Get Off the Street, alternative income generation activities will be even how to repair phones, how to use the phones to talk about prices. If you are on a WhatsApp group, you can let people in Sogakope or people in Bolga know the price of beans or granules. And this WhatsApp is a conconsa. So it makes it easy that the information will go out. And so we will take into consideration the working with the National Service program, how we can get this type of education to all our women. Indeed, we are also working with the NCCE and adult education to come up with a program to bring about adult education again, to ensure that even adults have the basic literacy and numeracy skills. The Kayaye, they have a very special place in my heart. I've always had a special place for people who are very vulnerable. And so we have come up with a program to eradicate Kayaye in the next 5 years. And one way simply is through the database collection, which will let us know children of school-going age. And that will immediately allow quite a number of them, all the children who are carrying things in the market should be in school. Since '92, Ghana has this beautiful policy, the FQ, and yet today children are still on the streets. And so those of school-going age, and with the advent of this free senior high secondary, we will work with education to get them into school. Those who cannot be in school because of age or for whatever reasons, we will look at alternative skills training. And indeed, we have identified some shelters that will take some of the children. And we ourselves have a shelter at Medina, and we are rehabilitating it, adding more equipment to ensure that we beginning the process of moving the children off the streets as well as the Kaya this very month. We've done a lot of extensive engagements in terms of talking to them about Operation Get Off the Street Now. And so, as you work with us, we'll plead that you also disseminate the information that the street is no place for anybody to live. And so I'll join it with the issue of the foreigners. They are part of ECOWAS, and so they can come to Ghana just as we travel. They are not always here, if you notice. They come during the dry season. And for them, it's a profession. And so we've written to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to have a meeting with the countries from which they come from. They are part of the Operation Get Off the Street Now, so that we move them out of the streets, because they encourage our children also to beg. Begging is not a profession. Indeed, there is a law against it. The Freedom Pass. I am 56 now and I'm getting there. So issues of the aged are also very close to my heart, that soon I will be needing a Freedom Pass myself. And so we have set up a committee, a technical working committee, to look at not only the Freedom Pass, but issues concerning the aged, including the bill that we'll be sending to Parliament before the end of this year. And so we are meeting with the Ministry of Transport to talk to him about the implementation. A pilot was done previously by the previous administration with the urban card, with about 25,000 people. We are looking to do a pilot with the aged above 65 on the leap, so that we'll be able to look at the challenges that might happen and then make it better before we scale up for the nationwide program. So that is where we are at with the Freedom Pass. And I'm hoping that the journalists and the good people of Ghana will help us with the communication when we begin the implementation, for us to respect the aged, the persons with disability, and people with children, that in terms of social services, we should give them priority for them to be addressed first. With the women empowerment, the affirmative action bill, I'm very passionate about it. We cannot look at gender equality without affirmative action. It's a stopgap measure, temporary, to bridge the gap when there are disadvantages between any group. And so currently we've been able to go through all the stakeholder discussions, and we've taken it to Parliament, to Cabinet, not yet in Parliament, but to Cabinet. And we are finalizing it so that we can take it to Parliament before Parliament rises at this sitting. It is not a women's issue, it is a national issue. And I'll entreat all of us to carry the gospel out there and see the he for she's and all the other members of our country, the males, leading the process and fighting for equality, because everybody has a mother. Maternity leave from 3 months to 6 months. We are still in consultations about that. When a woman gets pregnant and has to have the baby and goes on leave, sometimes her promotion is affected. We need to implement things that will not be at the detriment of any woman or anybody. And so we need further consultations on this. And when we come to the conclusion that Ghana wants, we will inform you. Paternity leave is also the same, that it's on the table for discussions, and we will continue until such time as Ghana agrees. As a minister, I only serve at the pleasure of the people, based on the Constitution and the mandates that we have. So, anytime that Ghana, and we will facilitate the processes for consultation and advocacy and discussion, anytime that Ghana agrees that we should go this way or that, majority carries the vote, and the voice of the people is the voice of God. Thank you.
My name is Kweku Steven. I work with Oman FM. Honorable Minister, I've followed you closely, and I've seen a minister who's committed in ensuring a successful implementation of the school feeding program, more especially in the north. And of course, I know you will stand against any hindrance in the implementation process. Now, last year, May, we were confronted with an issue in the northern region where the minister had a confrontation with the MPP's regional chairman, that's Mr. Bugenabu. Now, today, he has been voted out of power as the regional minister. How is the school feeding program going to be like in the northern region? Thank you very much.
I'm Gertrude from the Bridge Online. Honorable Minister, please, I want to find out concerning the gender empowerment. When we go to our tertiary institution, we realize that the women are having problems, especially when they are pregnant. Sometimes when a woman is pregnant and it is time for examination, there's not any consideration for such a woman. I want to find out whether the Constitution can create a platform for such people in order to empower the woman.
My name is Eric Novitz Siale. I write for the Statesman newspaper. Yeah, Minister, my question has to do with breast cancer. A lot of our women are being taken away by this deadly disease. And I want to know from the ministry and from you especially as a woman, what's the ministry doing in collaboration with Cancer Board, especially Breast Cancer in Focus, the campaign, the awareness creation, and then possible treatment centers being designed by the ministry. Thank you.
Please, my name is Margaret Sabuach. I work for the Vanguard newspaper. Honorable, please, my question, I don't know whether this has come to you, that children as low as class 4 are engaged in this tramadol abuse. I don't know whether it has come to your ministry. And in case you have a case like that, what are you doing? What measures are you putting in place to make sure that these children are no more engaged in that?
It is actually designed to eradicate poverty, to increase enrollment and retention, and also to create jobs for our women and to remove hunger. And so it is the mandate of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to work through the Ghana School Feeding Program Secretariat. And so it doesn't matter who a regional minister is or who a minister is. It is there for a purpose, and it's a very important development tool. And so, in as far as the ministry's policy and its programs are there to ensure that we provide one hot, nutritious meal, it doesn't affect anybody's election outcome. It will go on. And children cannot wait for anybody's election. Election or no election, children have to be fed. And so we are just a vessel to ensure that the processes and the procedures are met. In the area of gender empowerment concerning pregnant women at the tertiary level, I myself had to go back to school when I was 30, and I already had 2 children, and I was undergoing a diploma in communication. It was one of the hardest things I ever did, and after that, with 4 children, I went on to have another program in information systems, and living far away in England without extended family, I nearly died. And then, on top of that, I came back to Ghana with these 4 children, with a very busy husband, and working as a consultant, having to go through another education of development studies. So I understand the issues of women at the tertiary level being pregnant, because you have to continue your work as a woman and, of course, your work as a professional to empower yourself. We will be in talks with Ministry of Education to find out how best, as well as the other problem is of young girls who get pregnant. What do we do with them? A back-to-school program is what we are looking at, creating safety nets. Over the weekend on Saturday, I had the privilege of being the special guest at Mount Mary Training College in Somanya, where they have a special program for teaching young people who want to be teachers to be French teachers. And the same issue came up. It's important that we plan our lives as women and that we must multitask. You cannot stop the development of a woman. The biological clock will tick. But you must balance it with your education, with your work and all of that, so that none of them is affected. And the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection will be embarking on various stakeholder discussions with the key stakeholders and the people who are affected, people who get involved in teenage pregnancy. We're not saying that go and get pregnant as a teenager, no. But if it happens, we as a government that looks at the issues of vulnerable people must develop a mechanism, and we are in the process of those discussions. The issue of breast cancer. We have just inaugurated the board, and indeed we have the special lady, Dr. Beatrice Uefi, who has kindly agreed to be the chairperson. We've been working with her for quite some time, and so we have even signed a memorandum of understanding with her that at and during LEAP cash payments, we should have the screening of various cancers, not only breast, but prostate, as well as childhood cancer. We found out that in 2010, 1.3 women died globally of breast cancer, and in Ghana, 2,062 have been diagnosed. So we are embarking on aggressive awareness programs, raising of funds, and then support to ensure that we create a safety net for people who have cancer, not only breast cancer. Tramadol. I have 4 children. I wouldn't want to see any of them involved in drug abuse. It's not only tramadol, people of Ghana. Our children are taking Benylin codeine. Some are sniffing petrol. Some are sniffing glue. All sorts of things to escape from what? I have no idea. But the Ministry of Gender will work with the Ministry of Health and with the various key stakeholders, education, to see what we can do. Because each child has a special place in our lives. We're a community of Ghanaians, and for as long as one child is unwell from whichever area, then it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to find a solution. We cannot do it alone. It has to be a collective responsibility, and especially with the media and with parents and the key actors and the perpetrators. Selling things like that to a child is highly irresponsible. And so law enforcement must also be brought to bear to ensure that children of school-going age are in school, and that the social welfare workers and case management workers are on top of issues to bring a closer relationship between the laws that we have in Ghana and the implementation. Drug abuse, substance abuse is unacceptable. They are against the law. Who prescribes these things to young people? Who are the people who sell them? Let us not bury our heads like ostriches. In our communities, we know who the people who sell these things are. Traditional rulers, the district assembly, the mayors, and all the other people involved in local governance. These things are happening in our communities. And the media must work in collaboration with the Ministry of Gender to eradicate this menace. It is not a good thing for any child because it destroys our children. It takes away their dreams and it kills their ability to realize their full potential. So it's not a joke developing a nation. And those perpetrators who think that because they are children, they can encourage them and lobby them and, to use the Ghanaian word, boss them to get hooked, and they use them as mules or people who will then sell to other children. Understand this. The child belongs to God, and we are just caretakers. And for each child that you destroy, you will have an answer with your maker one day. For street children, reintegration is very important. You cannot just whip them off the street and take them back home. I met a child during the International Day of Street Children who said that he came for the SIF March, and that where he comes from, there are no lights. And he saw so much light in Accra, he decided to stay. And so he lives in this bush behind the Polo Club. He is not the only one. There are more than 40 children living in that bush. There are more than 100 children living behind those quarter areas at Opebia House. Go to the Tudu station, go to Kaswa. These are our children, the apples of our eyes. And it is so heart-rendering to see them there. And so yes, we are identifying them. We will be speaking with their parents. And those who have problems at home, sometimes it's because of some child abuse. There was in the news last week, a mother poured hot water on her son because of 1 cedi. We are going to spend so much money to repair the skin of this one child. Can you imagine the mental stress and the trauma that this child is going through? The woman is in court. And so we would look at how we can address the PMT, what we call the proxy means test, to parents who have this problem of their children either running away or not being able to take care of their children, to see if we cannot put them on the leap. The leap is not a handout. It's not to encourage people to run onto the street. Poverty is no excuse for parental negligence. And children sometimes also run away on their own because they don't want to do house chores, they don't want to be woken up early or do your homework or do the right thing. There is no gain without pain. You cannot develop without discipline. And so it is important, people of Ghana, that together as a community, we begin to look at our parental responsibilities. Today's mother gets up, she's off to the market or to the farm or to wherever she works. Who is taking care of our children? And the children are watching this WhatsApp and they're being brought up by television and the internet and all of that. Who is responsible for their nurturing and their guidance? We are where we are today because we had parents who were responsible. You cannot have a gift from God and say that you leave that child to whoever can take care of that child. That child becomes prone to risks of child prostitution, to risks of drug abuse, to risk of human trafficking. Poverty is no excuse to neglect your child. If your child is on the street, parent, please look for that child. Child, if you've run away from home, go back home. The streets are not safe. Even if you are chopping Gary, King K, TZ, I like TZ. It's better to do it at home than to be on the street and to be at the mercy of all these risks. And so we are very, very concerned and committed about Operation Get Off the Street Now for a better life. And in the next 5 years, starting from this month, we at the ministry are going to be on the streets, getting everyone off the streets, and we will be working with the municipal and the metropolitan assemblies to ensure that when we get them off the street, they don't get back. Disability does not stop you from having an ability. And begging is not a profession. And so anybody on the street who is engaged in begging, there's a new sheriff on the block. And we are in a hurry. You need to get off the streets for a better life.
I'm Ajia Saratu, DTV Dagwani News. Please, I'm also into women and children's programs. My appeal is to Madam. On my rounds in some of the rural areas with the opinion leaders and chiefs, most of the times, these children, especially the teenage, there are some teenage pregnancies, especially about 32% in Lorry area. And most of the students to pregnate them, the boys. If the girl is out of school, what should be done to the boy? I think the boy too should be out of school. And also, I'm pleading with, excuse me, I'm pleading with Madam too. Most of our traditional chiefs, they've put on these bylaws. If you pregnate a girl and you are caught, or a imam or a pastor going to do the outdooring, he is fined to pay some money. And also, these are rape and defy cases. I'm pleading with Madam. Some of these cases are being sent to court, and whereby the doctors, if the child is being raped and is gone to the hospital, they demand some money, whereby these people can't pay. When they can't pay, then when the court is called, if their parents, they are not there because there's no money. Can't this National Health Insurance help the rape and defy cases? They should include them so that when these people are raped, they can be able to get some money to pay, or it should be free for them so that the cases will be called. Other than that, the cases are just sent out of the distance. And then the Minister of Health should help Madam. Most of these maternal deaths, most of these women, when you go to the rural areas and you interview them, some haven't got the better clothes to use. So when they go, they say, look at the dress, and she's here, look at her dressing. So these women don't want that. That's why most of them refuse to go for the antenatal, because they don't have it. So they prefer going to the midwife, the local midwife, traditional birth attendant, than coming to the hospital because of the insults. And push, if they are not pushing through, they beat them. So let's with the Ministry of Health so that they should do something about it. Because of this, most people don't go. So in some of these places, especially in Sambu, I had to give some soap to some of the traditional birth attendants so that when people are pregnant, and when they are in labor, they bring them to the hospital. If they are given the soap and the Dettol, they can be able to bring more to them so that there will be this traditional birth attendants sending them to the hospitals. More than attend to them, there will be some bleeding, whereby the traditional birth attendant can't do anything about it. So, Madam, I'm pleading with you. Something should be done about it. Thank you.
My name is Honorable Comfort Dabo. I commend my mother, Honorable Tiku Officer Jaba, who mentored me to be an assembly member at Tapajwa in Ashanti region. Because I'm an assembly member, I'll start and I'll talk for them. I'll ask my mother how the ministry is engaging assembly members or assembly women, elected assembly women. Because we pass through so many challenges before we are being elected. And when we are elected, where do you go? Where do we get even access to some of these things that we promise for our people? And the men will say, and you're not getting anything for your community. So I'm asking my mother in the ministry how they are engaging the assembly members, how they can even go forward or get re-elected for the following elections. Then again, about vaccination. About vaccination, my mother was talking about how these doctors treat newborn babies about this vaccine. I remember both of assembly members, mothers come to me for some of these problems. And it's like, when they give birth, there are certain babies that they have to vaccinate them before they can be breastfed. And because they don't have money, doctors leave them just like that, and they cannot be breastfed. So I'm asking my mother how the ministry is also engaging with Ministry of Health, and how they will address some of these challenges so that the babies will not die because of these vaccination issues. Thank you.
My name is Nashika Caesar. I work with City FM. My question to the minister is, there's been several reports in the media of teachers or head teachers having sexual relations with their students. Yeah. And normally when this happens, what is done is that they are either suspended or they are transferred to other places. I want to find out what the ministry is doing, what new policies they are bringing in place to ensure that such teachers are punished. And also, I want to know if the ministry is doing anything to empower some of these girls to speak up. Because there are lots of girls in schools that are being abused, but because of this culture of silence, they just keep quiet and so they don't talk about. So I want to find out if they have any new interventions of empowering girls to speak up about these things.
Okay, my name is Valerie from ATV. ATV, thank you, Madam, for the good work done. You've really done well. What I want to ask is, she did mention of children begging alongside the streets, but I want to ask that she didn't say anything connecting with those who sell there are kids who sell water, toffees, to actually make something for themselves to go to school. She didn't actually say anything about it. And I know people who, for the sake of work, they say, I want somebody to help me work. And then these kids will be, they will bring them from maybe the villages to come and help them. And then they are promised that they will be taken to school. But it's not happening. And then with that, you see those kids working without pay. Sometimes they just go about and then flirting and then doing all sorts of things which engage them in getting pregnant. So I want to ask if Madam can really do something about it. And then lastly, the career women who are not taking care of their kids, I think they should be educated. Because these are women who they wake up early in the morning, go to work, don't even know if their kids have eaten or they look very good to work or school. Thank you.
My name is Samir J and I write for News Ghana. Madam, aside of your office being a multi-purposeness office, we also know of your versatility in your field of work. You made mention of children with childhood cancer, children with cancer. That catalyzed me to come and ask this question. I joined a network called World Childhood Cancer Network. We've been fighting for some time now just for the medication of childhood cancer to be factored onto the NHIS, but to no avail. Once you have touched on that, I would want to know from you as a mother of all children, what you are doing to fight for the medication of childhood cancer to be factored onto the NHIS. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Joseph Atarek and I report for Radio Gold. Well, Honorable Gender Minister, I think I heard you talk about the fact that you are collaborating with Gratis to ensure that they design through lease or whatever, so that they will be used in conveying some of the goods that they carry instead of carrying it on their head. I want to find out, don't you think this would be a mechanism through which it will encourage more headquarters to come into the streets? That's my number one question. And my number two question is this, that you actually indicated that you are actually working on a facility at Adenta or Medina, I'm right, Medina, where the Kayi or the headquarters children will be taken there for compulsory education. Maybe, can you give us when you are hoping to complete this particular project? Thank you very much.
Didn't you ambassador me catch you in say? Me UTV, me didn't the chairman thing. Because I'm can kick me or some catch you. Me say over the period, you nya in Crawford, me de frafra. Anya meow. Didn't you ambisa say me say anya kra no enye brofo stations ne nkwa na wa ha. Obi wa TV hu sima kakra bi ene no benya e de tie. Ebia ya ka asem bi a eto na koma so ebia memfa ha ofa ho betimi adada o. The short time no benya etie no etina me bisa sa question we. Empen bebre ye nya nkrofo a omoton enkwala, omuwia nkwala, omoso nkwala man nkwala ne ye ne ma bone. Yetimi de omokokot. Ye de omokokot bi a ye ntehwe biem. The me bisa ne say so ehu be hia say eduru mre wo say oyo opani na orurepi akwala a emre bi beso wo say do ba TV so na obi ehu se na be ya ye ni untimi endi sa adwa no because yo chichafo ne nkrofo a yo school ma ehu otimi repi obi ne aka ne boko ahemfo no ye kuroma 70 me enka ne aka ne boko obefiri ha ne be transfer na ko be fufuro no okọ a na obon kwala ne ntodwe mesre ehu be hia say wo say ye de omo ba TV so yes. Because yanyesa me ba no pay ya mensa ho etiti na ye ma me ka bi about street children. Because who akola bi oton nsekan e traffic light mu. Nsekan o. Pepper spray ye ton traffic mu mensa evidence ne kwa na o mensa ho. I had to fight him. Etimi agine mani bi amfi am de ko police station. Etimi sre ehu be hia se nkrofo mo ye nioma boni ni nyasi akwa na hu some de say cough mixture nya tramo ne nkwa ho. Cough mixtures a wo ho ye de fra energy drink and quite a serious crossing tramon. Opening so akwala say ye bone na ye chi na na ejai no. I was here in the TV so say Mrana Shase onko da fiase mfie du ne edumaden a edumaden na o ye no. I was say kakra otimi twa ba TV no obi so hu Say me ye we me rape akwala we no. Eduma we ne edema se na be ya nhweso ade a obi enya sa ne mabone medamo ase.
Me den de nyansa chiame ya boadi. Me ye eduma Hot FM. Na me question ye baako. Me question is say empempi no wo hwe TV a obehu say asofo na yese abofra no ebia obofra be wo be 5 years 6 years yeso e be 4 na the whole world the yesi nyina hwe say TV no nye ye twa abofra ni picture ebi okwa ye hwe mofra ni bi waso dem enti as gender ministry no ana say asoye ebo emofra ho ban no edi ade ena ye edi ato office abofra no yenim ne daache ebi ye ministers ebi ye MPs ebi ye doctors na abeto ase na wo kan enum asem mi na me before mitifio me say me yewe o ebi ye ma ebi ye mema edi ade ne ye de aboa because ebi mama say no e kan yakọ ese e fa no mofra ho bamba ye nhweso ye enti me question person bisa na de twa to okra ne say ye ma me kan asem bi eye brofo kase pa me pese o chechim na Ghana fo nyina eti ase se aka wi se affirmative action bill bebe tete o mun ma de kro e bia ye nim de enim o ye media fo de be enim mama de wonim bebe tete o mun Ghana fo be ho o munim e de na ministry no so far me di so mu twa na ma fa ho na se pese o chechim ba form na Ghana fo sebi je na namone ma mama nko sko mo nkura se no o metima te ase me da ase.
The development of Mother Ghana. It's very interesting. The questions show your interest in us getting it right. I'm very, very happy about all these questions. It means we are all going to be gatekeepers to ensure that we get the development agenda right. Teenage pregnancy. Girls who are out of school, what are we doing about it? Don't get pregnant. Don't get pregnant. If a boy loves you, he will say, because I love you, sleep with me. You should say to him, because you love me, don't sleep with me. If you love me, demonstrate your love by not sleeping with me. Yes. Because you love me, sleep with me. I am 14, I am 16, I am 12. I sleep with you. I get pregnant. You go on to become the managing director. I have shown you my love. When you become the managing director, because I didn't finish school, you say, I am not fit to be your partner. Where is your love? Girl child, don't sleep with him. It is not love, it is lust. You are special. You are precious. Until 18, put a padlock on it and lock it and throw the key out. And parents, we have to engage our daughters and our sons about their sexuality. As they become teenagers, we need to pay attention when they are menstruating and becoming a woman, becoming a young man. It goes with responsibility. It's very easy to get pregnant, but it's very difficult to bring up a child. And children becoming mothers, children becoming parents, is not acceptable. There's a law against that. And we must put a stop to it collectively. But when it happens, we must provide a safety net. And so, as I said, the girls who are in school, now Ghana has made a provision for those girls, when they get pregnant, to still write their exams. They are not to be thrown out of school. But in some places, they feel that when the girl is pregnant and is coming for classes or exams, it looks as if we are encouraging teenage pregnancy. No. Ghana does not encourage teenage pregnancy. We have signed onto the Convention on the Rights of Children. And it is important that we ensure that those rights are protected. And so when there is a problem, what do? The person becomes vulnerable. You cannot throw the person out of your house. It's not a solution. And so girls should not get pregnant. But if it happens, the system should provide room for her to write exams and for the parents or the family to help with the upbringing of the child. And we will work with girls and with the queen mothers and traditional rulers to provide support and also community fora. We are going to introduce that. We are writing to cabinet. It's practiced in Rwanda. The last Saturday of every month, there is community cleaning, community labor, from the president to the youngest person in the community. And then after that, they have a community fora to discuss all these issues. It's about advocacy, that the nation Ghana that we want to see is about all of us. And so if you don't want to see teenage pregnancy, then we must ensure that the girls don't get pregnant. And all those boys and men who go around impregnating young girls, you are warned. The court about rape and defilement. We have a domestic violence fund, and we have about 34,000 in it. It's not enough, but it's important that the people of Ghana should also know rape and defilement are against the law. For rape, it is not less than 5 years and not more than, is it 25 years? Yes, and then for defilement, not less than 7 years and not more than 25 years. So it is against the law. We take it to the police, it's reported, the processes take place, they go to court. It's in the hands of the lawyers. We cannot force that. What we are preaching is that report it immediately. When there is a case of crime, go and report it to the police, and the police should work quickly to ensure that the reporting is also then sent, and whoever is a culprit should be apprehended, and then the due course of the law should take place. You and I cannot determine how those things will go. Otherwise, we'll be working against the Constitution and the rule of law. We have to allow the structures to work. And then you cannot be a vigilante. You cannot take the law into your hands, that because somebody has committed a crime against you or another person, you are going to take the law into your hands. That will become a lawless country. And the world is watching Ghana. So we will need to strengthen the legal system and the legal aid and find solutions. But that is what it's about, developing a country. And with emerging issues, we have to look at new ways of solving our problems. So for that, it's work in progress. But the reporting, I must commend the media. Please, let's clap for the media. The reporting has increased on issues of rape, of defilement, of teenage pregnancy, all the issues that we are not happy with. And the media are playing their role. The media is the mirror of the society. And I'm very grateful that we have this social media and you are able to let us know immediately when things happen. Interestingly enough, sometimes they will call you at 5 a.m. to ask you why pepper is in somebody's eyes. Everybody has their role. Ministry of Gender, in as much as we handle the vulnerable, there are different departments and sectors that handle all these things. And the police are the first point of call. In the area of the births, in terms of people who go to give birth and being treated badly by the medical institutions, public service is a duty. If you are there as a nurse, as a teacher, as a minister, you're not there because of yourself or your personal interest. You are there for the people, and there must be customer service. That is a bit weak in this country, and there's the need, not only in the health sector, for all the sectors, for us to understand that the customer comes first, and the best interest of the customer, especially somebody who is not well. Why would you be looking at the person's dressing? I know people who are deaf or disabled, they go and they are not responded to. The person is already hard of hearing. There is no sign language interpreter. And then they are not well. That is triple jeopardy. Somebody is pregnant. They come from rural Ghana. They're having all sorts of problems. And then you take a look at them. It's not everything that glitters that is gold. Sometimes you would be surprised that it might just be Jesus or Muhammad who has come in the form of that person asking for help. For every person that you turn away, you are turning away God. Let us not pretend to be so godly in this country. God is here with us. You do the right thing by vulnerable people, and you have a seat in heaven. And so Hajia Samira recently went to the northern region and launched the program of birth kits to support the reduction of maternal deaths and infant mortality. Our First Lady, Rebecca, as well, is the #1 champion of reducing maternal mortality and infant mortality. The funds she has raised for Konfanochi and Kolebu, bringing in just this weekend, she has organized for medical care screening in the eastern region, and they will be going around other parts of the country. There is so much that we can do. Each one is a keeper. Each one of us is a stakeholder of the development of Ghana. And so if you go somewhere and you find that somebody is not being properly treated, speak up and draw the attention of the authority so that they don't keep on doing that. If they do it to A, it's very likely that they will do it to B. Nobody should be treated badly. You are in public service to serve the people, and it is the taxes of the people that are used to pay you. And so if you treat people badly because of their dressing or they don't speak English or whatever, then you are not being faithful to yourself and to the people of Ghana. Assembly women, how are we going to empower you? Well, Comfort, you were recruited by me personally. That is the beginning of empowerment. You were in Kumasi Polytechnic, and you wanted to see the world, and I said, go and be an assemblywoman in your community. And you did, and today you are an assemblywoman. You also do that to another person. And so the Girls Leadership Program is a mentoring program that we are scaling up. I've asked that the NUGs and the SRC and all the girls groups should bring in their data so that we are going to organize the second Girls Summit in Africa in Accra. And we will be having mentoring programs. We've already identified some of the older women, and we have had engagement and discussions with them. What we are seeking to do is to link up the girls and the women so that you have the mentors and the mentorees. How do you call it, Albert? Mentees, eh? Is that it? Yes. So that we know that in Savlugu, there are X number of girls, and that we can pair them with some women in parliament, some women in industry, and what have you, to be able to monitor their growth and ensure that if they need scholarships, if they need bursaries, if they have to go to school where the river god says that you cannot cross the river because you are in your menses, what are they going to do about it to ensure that the girl child is in school? Where there are toilets for only for both boys and girls, how are we going to have separate toilets so that the girls feel comfortable to go to school? These are some of the reasons that girls fall out. The girls think that it's okay to be a madam. When I was in Tumu, when you ask, what do you want to be? I want to be a madam. Madam is a teacher. Girl child, you can be a footballer. You can be the next president of Ghana. You can be anything that you want to be. It's not just being the girls prefect. You can be the school prefect. It's not enough to be a women's organizer as I was. You can be the chairman of the party. I chose to be a women's organizer for this very reason, to mobilize women and empower them to take their place side by side by our men as equal partners in the development agenda. So we continue to build the self-esteem in our young girls, encourage them, let them understand that it begins with you. You are the change agent, and as the mother of the future generations, if the girl child is educated, then her sons and daughters will be educated. So I'll also like to use this opportunity to plead that everybody should send their boys and especially girls to school. And now it's free from the kindergarten to the SHS. Go to school. So Assembly Women, we have a lot of activities to build your capacity. We are going to go talent hunting to be able to ensure that affirmative action comes to life. We must have the women out there, but it cannot be achieved without the men. So the he for she's, this is the time for you to ensure that somebody's daughter, somebody's mother is also out there as an assembly woman, a polling station woman, the chairman of SRC, president, and into parliament. The sky is the limit. Ghana cannot develop at the kind of accelerated pace that we want to develop unless the women are equal partners. You cannot compromise on that. In as much as we have a male-dominant society, things are a bit lopsided because we have not been able to bring the women up to speed. And so, as a promise to ourselves and to the next generation, I am challenging all the men here that each one of you will support 10 women to be assembly women in 2019. Ghana has a population of about 44% or 46% being male. If the women are 52%, that means the men are how many? 48. So this 48%, get serious and get the women into the assembly, and we will provide the capacity building and into parliament and other positions so that Ghana will be the winner. In terms of resources, we will be, apart from the advocacy, organizing and raising funds to support the various women in assembly areas as well as in parliament. And there is a whole load of things that we have goodies, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. In the area of vaccination, we work with the Ministry of Health. We collaborate. They are the leading agency to ensure that all children are vaccinated. So we will continue with that advocacy. Teachers who impregnate young girls. I don't want to say something, but you all know what is in my head. I have 2 daughters, and woe betide any man. My brother to bring them up. Every parent goes to a lot of extent to bring up their daughters. It's haram to sleep with your daughter. Ghana is a community. And so when you sleep with somebody's daughter, you are sleeping with your daughter. And so teachers, you are the surrogate parents. We send our children for you to teach them to be responsible people. Where is that responsibility when you impregnate the girl? And yes, GES, sometimes what they do is they do musical chairs. They send the teacher to the village. GES, those children in the village are Ghanaian citizens. Anybody who impregnates a girl in Wesley Girls surely cannot go to Nakpanduri and impregnate them. They also deserve the best. And so when teachers impregnate or have sex with girls, it compromises their integrity, and they must be disciplined. And that discipline does not mean sending them to rural Ghana. That is unacceptable. And the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Gender and other actors must sit together to ensure that when a teacher does something that they are not supposed to do, then they should not be sent to rural Ghana or anywhere else. They should be disciplined properly. And it is against the law, so they should be prosecuted. Women being sacked for being pregnant, I've never heard of that. In today's Ghana, no. It happens maybe in some other countries, but not in Ghana. We love that women should have babies. And indeed, there is rather a problem when a woman cannot have a child. There's a lot of backlash from in-laws and all of that. But a pregnant woman goes to work, you can have your leave, it might affect your promotion. But if it does happen, then you have to report it to the police. No woman should be laid off work or sacked because they are pregnant. Hawkers on the street are part of street children. If I had mentioned them, then you wouldn't have had the chance to ask your question. And so anybody who is living on the street or off the street is part of the operation Get Off the Street Now. The streets are meant for vehicles and then for pedestrians to cross the road. And so you should not be hawking, cleaning screens, begging. You shouldn't be loitering on the streets. This is Ghana at 61, and we must make some hard choices and work with all our people to ensure that we protect them. There are too many deaths and accidents on the streets for us to continue to allow people to be on the street. So indeed, from this May, we are moving people off the streets, and we are going to work with Ministry of Employment and Labor. They've already come out with regulations on decent work and domestic work. And we must preach the gospel that FQ, every child of school-going age, must be in school. So the time when younger children or people come in as domestic helps should be nannies is over. And so if you know that somebody is keeping a child under 18 and not allowing them to go to school, report it to the police and the social welfare. We must be serious in this country. We are building a nation, and it must be built on the rule of law and ensuring that we leave nobody out or behind. Delivery in terms of children with cancer and what we can do to ensure that the medication is put on the National Health Insurance. Indeed, I invited the members of an organization, Childhood Cancer Association, and they brought their list. So the Chief Director has been tasked to write a letter to Ministry of Health concerning this very issue. We have also, as I said, inaugurated a new board. It used to be the Breast Cancer Board, but I pleaded with them that we don't only have breast cancer, we also have prostate cancer, other cancers, including childhood cancer. So if you notice, the name now is the Cancer Board. And so we have expanded it to include all other cancers. And we are working with a very special woman I mentioned, Dr. Beatrice Wiafi, as well as the pediatrician who handles cancer from Kolebu. They are all members of the Cancer Board. And it's not only that, as well as autism, sickle cell, fistula, all the other areas where we have problems of poverty. How do we get medication for the poor and the vulnerable? It's a continuous discussion that the ministry is having with Ministry of Health and the key stakeholders. The trolleys, to encourage Kayaye, it is a worry. We are working with NBSCCI and the TVET and others to ensure that all the young girls in the areas, especially in the Upper East, Upper West, and Northern region, do not come to the cities. We will organize training for them, and as we grow the economy, there will be no need for them to come to the cities for greener pastures. However, those who are in the cities must also have their rights protected, and they cannot be carrying load on their head like donkeys. And so that's how come, actually they've already developed a prototype. It's a bit big, it's at my office, those of you who want to see it. We want to make it conducive to our roads and the narrowness of the roads and alleys in the market. And we are going to call it potterage. When you travel outside, you see that there are potters at the airport, there are potters at the hotels and other places. If you want to use the trolley yourself, you pay and use it. If you want a potter, you pay for the potter. And so we are creating a module of potterage. You remember we used to have watchmen, and now we have security agencies. You see? From the watchman to the security agency, from the Kayaye to the potter. That is the new Ghana. And so it is not to ask that more should come, but to give them respect and give them a profession and give them a sense of dignity and self-esteem, that you don't have to be a human donkey. And so Kayaye will be a thing of the past in the next 5 years, inshallah. Media, this is your door. The stations are not owned by the ministry. If you give licenses to people, pastors, to preach, and you don't give them regulations and what not to do, then you come back and say, what is the Ministry of Gender going to do about it? Who gave them the permission to put it on air? But we have written to the various media houses and also to the Media Commission. And indeed, because of our intervention, I'm not going to mention the name, there was one of the media houses that used to advertise some drug about male potency. And so it was shown early in the morning when children are having breakfast. And so I wrote to them and they have withdrawn the advert. And the issue of the pastors as well, we spoke about it at Ondo on the 16 days of activism, and we have written to the Media Commission. And so that is also being handled to ensure that no pastor should show, and no journalist should also show the face of a child. You are abusing their privacy. I find that people come to stand by me to take a selfie without asking my permission. And before you know it, they've even picked my hand and put it on their shoulder. And they are telling me, Jinaiye. You know, but that is the invasion of my privacy. And so all of us as a people must respect each other's space. If you put a child out there because you are saying that they are a witch, you stigmatize them for life, or that they are a thief or whatever. It's against the law. Go and read the Children's Act. It is not allowed. And if you see that happening, please report it to the police. And we must name and shame all these people who infringe on the rights of our people. Another area that I've had the opportunity to write is about this social media. We put the rape, young boys raping a girl, 5 guys, and somebody is filming, and then they put it on social media. We've written to the Media Commission, the Ministry of Communication, to block that. But the media people must also inform our people that it's against the law. The same thing happens, you stigmatize the girl. Boys might get away with it, but not the girl. And she is a victim. Why are you displaying her and the whole act to the whole world? She's already traumatized. And then everybody is talking about her, and maybe she's your daughter, or she's your neighbor, or she's your classmate. Put yourself in the place of that girl child. And please, those things must stop. And those who pass it on, why are you passing it on? You traumatize the person. Even for one person to know that somebody has been raped, for life, the person is scarred. So I want to plead with the people who go around raping people to stop it. And those who film it to also stop it. If you pass it on, you are an equal perpetrator of the act. So you must not pass on the things that are not right. And those who abuse, those of us who are in public service, it's amazing. If you see this WhatsApp, the kind of language, you will not believe that they use the same mouth to pray. The things they say about some of us is unacceptable. They think that because it's social media, you cannot see them, so they can say anything. Please, what you can't say to your mother, to your father, don't say it to somebody's mother or father. We are a community of Ghanaians, we are building a nation, and we must be serious. You cannot disagree with me, but the insults to that level and the kind of filth that is used is not Ghanaian. And if you respect yourself, you don't need to use such language just because you disagree with somebody. I've talked about defilement, Hot FM, the pastors, the AA bill. Yes, we have designed a program that we are taking to the markets, the hotspots, the taxi ranks, where they sell banku, the chop bars. Across Ghana, you are going to see us. Affirmative action so that every woman can own it and every man can own it. And we are going to translate all these policies into voice. so that nkana azin Hausa anche batun affirmative action ka Ghana kaman batun kani kinan biyewa in a banka affirmative action imentorla ko yega na wie affirmative action sane obanu shishi o wie mo mi. So for all of us, our official language is English, but not everybody reads English. And the people who are affected most, the victims and the perpetrators, might not even be able to read Twi or Dagbani. And so we must translate all these laws into the dialects. And we are working with the Bureau of Languages as well as NCCE. And we are taking a request to Cabinet for permission, approval for us to be able to do that. It's a work in progress, Ministry of Gender. The suffering of our people comes to the Ministry of Gender. If you go for a program and then you are involved in an accident, you might become disabled, and then it's the issue of the Ministry of Gender. If you grow old like I am, and then it affects your health, or you get stroke, or whatever happens with old age, you come to the Ministry of Gender. If you are going to school and you get pregnant, it becomes the issue of the Ministry of Gender. You become a child prostitute, you become a leper, you become a beggar. The vulnerable, all of it is at the Ministry of Gender. My shoulders are too small, and that of my staff. And so, the issues of our people, I'm saying, is a collective problem. So please, work with us. Report the cases. Don't wait for the minister. Don't even call for the minister. You are a citizen, not a spectator. For a Ghana beyond aid, for the Ghana that we seek to see, and the Ghana that is the pride of Africa. All of us are a community, and we must work together to leave nobody out or behind. Thank you very much, and have a great one. The he for she goes on. The registration is out there. So every male here must go and register and pledge that you are not going to be a wife beater. You are not going to impregnate somebody. You are going to ensure that the girl child is in school. The woman has what she wants, and ensure that everything is perfect in our world. The 5-year strategic plan has been developed to address adolescent pregnancy. So it's available for you to read and also disseminate. And television programs will be developed with documentaries to educate us. So you're all welcome to come and help and share knowledge to ensure that we put Ghana on the map of gender equality and equity. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. We have come to the end of our encounter for today.
Minister, please can you inform our caterers that the Ministry of Finance has signed the warrant for the caterers to be paid for January to April, and so your accounts will be credited. However, it is about the children and not the caterers. Every day, and we are not paid, and we are not paid. Let us focus on the children small and make sure that they get the food and that we buy from the farmers. In the history of Ghana, it has never happened that school feeding has been paid in less than 2 months. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, because of his commitment to reducing poverty, made sure that the first payment was done in less than 2 months. And this one, you only vacated on April 12th. What is today's date, people of Ghana?
Today, instead of giving a closing thought, I will take a quotation from the Quran. The Muslims call it Surah Al-Ahzab. That is Quran 33. The verse is verse 35. And it states, and I quote, "Surely, men who submit themselves to God and women who submit themselves to God, and believing men and believing women, and obedient men and obedient women, and truthful men and truthful women, and men who are steadfast in their faith, and women who are steadfast in their faith, and men who are humble, and women who are humble, and men who give alms, and women who give alms, and men who fast, and women who fast, and men who guard their chastity, and women who guard their chastity, and men who remember Allah much, and women who remember him much. Allah has prepared for all of them forgiveness and a great reward, unquote. Now, the reason I believe Allah states, and this men, and this women, and this men, and this women, and this men, and this women, is to say that before the Almighty Allah, all of us have an equal footing. The Quran also says, no human being is better than another human being except on the basis of faith. So in other words, gender is not a basis for inequality, at least as far as Islam is concerned. And I believe even so for Christianity. And so let us work together as a country on the basis of mutual respect for all of us, and even transcending the gender question, issues of ethnicity, issues of religion, both inter and intra-religious and ethnic affairs. Let us put all of these matters aside. Let us think of ourselves as Ghanaian people, first and foremost. We've known the history of nations that have been to war, Rwanda, the rest of them, Sierra Leone, Liberia. We don't want to get there. And therefore, let us think first about our Ghanaianness, and then, as they say, all the other things shall be added.